What a brutal game. What a brutal game to watch as the Auburn Tigers fall to the Texas A&M Aggies 83-72 coming from College Station. Welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. This is a live reaction show. I'm your host, Zach Blackerby, and of course, joining me as he does every single post-game show is the Daryl Dapprich Montgomery radio legend. And I mean, this whole product that was on display tonight can only be described as brutal, hard to watch. The overall flow of the game was dictated by Texas A&M, which plays a very tough to watch style of basketball. It wins, but we say this every time Buzz Williams plays Bruce Pearl, and I don't know. I mean, it's just I don't think it matters. I don't think it hurts Auburn's chances with anything, but goodness gracious, that was tough to watch.
It was a weird game to watch, just a weird feeling because it was kind of like a tweener. You know, I don't know. I mean, I don't care what sport Auburn's playing or what the circumstances are. You're wanting Auburn to win every game, so you don't concede anything. But as you're watching this game, you're almost kind of relaxed and chill because you're like, there's so much, everything that Auburn wants to accomplish is right there still. And just by getting step one is winning Saturday. Okay. Sure. So the Buzz Williams narrative is true. I mean, he gives Bruce Pearl problems in the past with his style of play. A&M came in losing 4 in a row. They were very, very desperate. Auburn was not desperate. Auburn was on a high from what happened over the weekend. So you could almost feel like this was going to happen or could happen. And it's not coping, or it's just having watched basketball and the ebbs and flows of a season. You know, there's going to be one of these games. It's just you're going to have one. And in this circumstance, it was the perfect storm. I think Auburn is like 4-7 or 4-8 their last 12 against A&M. They haven't won a lot at the Reed Center. I think they've only won 2 times, 3 times. So, look, bottom line is you win Saturday and you sweep your rival. You set a record for SEC wins by a program, and you set a win for quad one wins in college basketball. So everything is right there, and you pretty much, I think, lock up the number 1 seed overall if you win Saturday. So do you want to lose? No, but perspective, okay? Perspective is big picture. Auburn has 3 losses all year. 3. That is amazing to do over how many games they've played and with this schedule. So you know it's going to happen. And 2 SEC losses, 1 at home, 1 on the road. In this league this year, it's almost virtually impossible to even get that kind of record.
Yeah, I'm not really concerned with the loss. I am concerned with how I think some of these leaders didn't really look like they were leading tonight. And I'm talking specifically about Johni Broome. I mean, this is a guy that, I mean, he may have, I think he lost National Player of the Year tonight. I have a hard time seeing that going into the games tonight. Cooper Flagg was the favorite. I can't imagine that'll be the case, or I can't imagine that changing moving forward. I think Johni Broome probably lost the National Player of the Year race to Cooper tonight. And that's a shame. That's absolutely a shame. You could tell they were trying to go through him early, and it's just he didn't have the touch around the basket tonight. And they made a point to make sure that he was, you know, swarmed as soon as he got it. But like, you've got to expect that. That's been the case for him all season. He's been able to adjust. That wasn't the case for him tonight. So to me, it's like I'm not really concerned with the loss because I don't think it changes. I mean, it doesn't change seeding. It doesn't change, you know, how I think, you know, the committee and all that's going to view Auburn. But I am concerned with the lack of intensity and the lack of leadership, I think, when it comes to Johni Broome.
Yes, there are some things that in a loss, let me go back to the Player of the Year thing. Yeah, it would have been nice, but maybe in the long run, it benefits Auburn if Broome plays with a chip on his shoulder and doesn't win that award. Okay, when he gets into the tournament,
who knows?
You know, maybe he's like, you know what? And so I don't really care about that award. Really, I don't. It's pointless. Number 2,
okay, sure.
It's nice for exposure for Auburn. It'd be nice for Broome, but I think what Auburn wants to accomplish as a team, it's a whole different subset. But yes, it'd be nice. It's like a Heisman Trophy winner thing. It is. It's good recognition for the school, for the program.
I just, not that Bruce needs help with recruiting at this point, but it does give you another arrow in the quiver. I mean, if you don't lose another game, it doesn't matter, right? That's right. A much better arrow to use, but they're going to need to get a center in the portal. Maybe it makes it a little bit easier if you do that, but sure.
And I think too, you can look at some things that are some concerns that you now really have to address, and you can really get players' attention when you lose and put the rebounding. Now, Texas A&M, we knew, is an elite rebounding team. Okay,
my goodness.
Should you get out rebounded by 12 or 13? Is there an effort issue with that, or a technique thing? That's a problem. I don't like the fact that.
Can I read you some stats? Can I read you some stats? Do you mind? So, what if I had told you Auburn is going to shoot 50% from the floor, Texas A&M is going to shoot 43% from the floor, Auburn's going to shoot 41% from three, A&M is going to shoot 36% from three, Auburn's going to shoot 87% from the free throw line, A&M is going to shoot 72%. I mean, all of these stats dramatically in Auburn's favor. Auburn had 25 rebounds. Texas A&M had 41. I mean,
shooting percentage matters, but I would have asked when you told me all that, okay, how many total shots did A&M get?
Shots.
And that's because of the rebounds. How many more free throws did they shoot than Auburn,
10.
even though
10 more.
Okay, so even though Auburn had a better shooting percentage and free throw percentage, if you're giving up that many rebounds and you're getting that many more shot attempts, you're going to lose. So, I could go 75% from the field if I shoot, if I'm 3 or 4, if the other team shoots that many more shots, that's what I would have. And that's where it's a formula. No matter how good you are, it'll get you beat. And it'll get you beat in the tournament. You run into a team that is an elite rebounding team like St. John's, who doesn't care what their shooting percentage is. They play filthy, get in the gutter. They can play really, really ugly and beat you because of rebounding and all. So that's where you look at that. You go, okay. Now, all that being said, I don't like making excuses because other teams have made excuses when Auburn's beaten them. I think this game really signifies too how important Denver Jones is to this team. And it's not just his 14 points that probably would have made a difference tonight. It's how he would have defended Wade Taylor, I think, who really,
totally.
That helps.
16 points, 5 of 15 from the floor. I mean, he is not an efficient scorer, but when you get so many rebounds and you just get more shots than the other team, it adds up, like you said. So, it's weird. I've seen a lot of folks in the live chat kind of like criticize the defense, and I mean, sure, but like I think A&M took contested shots. It's just they didn't get rebounds, which does that fall under defense? I mean, I guess so. A&M's ability to get offensive rebounds tonight was brutal.
They had so many. I don't have it in front of me, but just look at the second chance points, Zach. That tells the story. That's one stat that if every other stat line is equal in a college basketball game,
you want to guess of their 83 points? You want to guess how many were second chance for A&M?
I'm going to say they were in the upper 20s.
29. Nailed it.
Dude, that is
Auburn had 11 for what that's worth.
Okay, so really in a college basketball team, the average is like 15. They got 14 more above average second chance points. I mean, these are the things, the metrics you can point to if you're Stephen Pearl and Bergamot, all those guys, and go, look, guys, this is why we got beat. This is what you cannot give up that many second chance points. So there is an absolute formula. And, we can talk about officiating and all that kind of stuff. I think, Auburn obviously in the first half was getting a favorable whistle, I felt like. Mm-hmm. In the second half, they didn't. I think Broome again and Chad Baker-Mazara were getting killed, and then the total amount of fouls in the second half. But at the end of the day, they went to the free throw line that many more times. They had so many more shot opportunities, second chance points.
Yeah.
It's going to get you beat.
All right, so what does this mean for Auburn? What does it mean moving forward? That's all next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Alumni Hall. Alumni Hall is the best place to buy all of your Auburn swag, including SEC championship gear over at Alumni Hall. And, of course, make sure you're ready for March with all of your Auburn basketball swag. And then, of course, the rest of the spring with Auburn baseball or Auburn softball, whatever sport it is, Alumni Hall has you covered. And Daryl, you use Alumni Hall. You purchase stuff for Alumni Hall from your family. They've got something there for everybody.
I remember buying like the first Auburn gear and merchandise for my grandchildren, the little onesies and all that from Alumni Hall, their first gear. So great place. Go online and check out everything you need to besides the in-person stores.
Yep. AlumniHall.com is how you can check it out online. They've got 3 great physical locations at Auburn, Opelika, and Huntsville, or once again online at AlumniHall.com. Auburn drops this one on the road, 72-83. So what's next for the Tigers? A huge game against Alabama. That doesn't matter when it comes to SEC standings, but it would secure Auburn the top overall seed in the NCAA tournament, regardless, I think, of what happens in the SEC tournament. So to me, it's I guess my biggest question is, like, what was the biggest issue tonight? And it was effort and intensity. And I can't imagine. I mean, it's like the trifecta on Saturday. 1, it's at home. 2, it's senior day. 3, it's against Alabama. And also, you just got embarrassed, and we've seen this team bounce back in those situations. So, to me, I don't think this is the type of game that beats you twice. I think we'll know pretty early on if it is the type of game that'll beat you twice. I also think it's really nice that Auburn has an extra day of rest over Alabama, because I don't think they play until tomorrow. And they play
Auburn has done a really good job responding to losses, and they haven't had to do it that much, okay? They responded well after Duke. And now remember, after Florida, which to me was more of a bad loss than this was. It was at home. Everyone thought, I mean, I know everybody picked Auburn to win this game. I was shocked that there was that many people that it was like such a consensus. But the Florida game, after the Florida game, remember, Auburn went on the road and beat Vanderbilt. They won those 3 in a row. They went to Alabama and won. They won those 3 in a row at home. Then they beat Kentucky. A very, very impressive stretch. Look for the same to happen. And I think you make a great point about Saturday. Auburn will come back with a vengeance Saturday. Now, Alabama may play whatever, but Auburn will play well Saturday. They will be focused. They will be locked in. It will be electric. It'll be very, very high energy. And I think Denver Jones will play. And I think all those. I do. I think I believe. It
kind of sounded like it was close tonight.
If this was an NCAA tournament game, Denver Jones would have played. Period.
That's the vibe I get to. Yeah.
So I mean, we can. So he'll play Saturday because this game's big. You want it. You don't want to lose again at home, and you want to sweep your rival, and you want to lock up that number 1 seed. And then the other 2 things I talked about: most wins and quad 1 wins in history, most SEC wins in history. All those things matter. And Auburn's playing. Auburn is a lot more desperate Saturday, in my opinion. Urgent, not desperate. Urgency will be there Saturday a lot more than it was tonight. And I'm not coping. I'm not excusing that. I just think people need to be realistic and understand big picture. When you play a 32-game schedule, you're going to have 2 or 3 of these. And to be honest with you, Auburn's probably had 5 or 6 where they didn't play and they could have lost the Tennessee game, and they won. I mean, they found ways to win. Look at the South Carolina game, Zach. I mean, they played horrible. And
Georgia on the road, I think, would be in that.
Yeah,
Texas, second half especially. Vandy on the road to some extent. I mean, that wasn't pretty, but it was like, wow, we still won by 12 or whatever. So, yeah, I'm there with you. Before we kind of do our look ahead and projections and all of that, just your thoughts on the officiating tonight.
Well, we know who we got. It's again, it's Pat Adams. It's not so much the calls. I mean, I like I said, I think Auburn got a good whistle in the first half. A&M got a good whistle in the second half. So Auburn ended up having 3 or 4 more fouls, but of course they had to foul late. I just think that Broom and some of Auburn players get absolutely hammered and don't get the call. And so it's what's not called is that I'm a little bit more concerned about. I think in an NCAA tournament scenario on a neutral floor, the whistle gets a little tighter. So I'm not concerned about that. But tonight, I think that I think at the end of the day, it was fairly equitable as far as total fouls and all that. I just think that Auburn Broom, I just don't think gets the whistle that a potential national player of the year should get.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
That's my one contention about it. So
there's a lot of folks kind of making funny like Pat Adams jokes. And this one by Brian says, Pat Adams uses Apple Maps for directions. Is that a diss? Should I not be using Apple Maps to get places?
I use Waze. But
is that what other people, is that what
I shouldn't even say
uses?
it. They don't even sponsor the show, so I shouldn't give a product placement endorsement.
I asked the question, like, what are other options? So
why I like Waze is because it's so like you get everything. You get if there's a car stopped on the side of the road, if there's a police car, it's really they give you everything as far as information. So I use Waze. I realize
using Apple Maps was like not the default. So that's good to know. It's good to know. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of stuff, and I saw this on X during the game and socials about like the number 1 ranking and polls or whatever. TMNC says Duke will have AP number 1, but Auburn will still have the number 1 overall seed. Like that's probably true.
That's a great point. That is an excellent point.
Yeah, I really want to stress though, like the AP poll now does not matter.
It does not matter.
It's irrelevant now. You finish out the regular season, and then your conference stuff is seeded. That's the number that's next to your name. And then the NCAA tournament is seeded. That's the number next to your name. They'll still have AP polls, and I think they still have the coaches poll too, but it doesn't matter. Like it's like having the AP poll in football when bowl season starts. It's like, who cares?
Well, look at the AP poll in football when it lines up in the selection committee, how they choose the college football playoff. There's a lot of people that feel like it doesn't line up, and it doesn't. It doesn't matter what someone is ranked in going into the selection Sunday in the college football playoff. They're totally different processes,
different criteria, different method of achieving the end product. So it's just, I don't know. Just seeing a lot of stuff about like Auburn's going to lose the number 1. Like, who cares at this point? Who cares about the number 1 ranking in the poll? It's about the number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament.
Absolutely. That's an excellent point, and I think he makes a good point, and I think your point that it's different and it's selected different and it's a different committee that looks at different things and different metrics, that's why. And that's all that matters. And don't think that Duke can't get beat again either, because they could.
Sure. Whatever. All right, let's play our game. What does Auburn go the rest of the season? It's sad that this number is now just down to 1, but I think Auburn goes 1-0. I think they beat Alabama on Saturday.
I agree with that, and it'd be interesting to see how many games in the SEC tournament people think Auburn's going to win too.
Yeah. All right, so let's drop that in live chat too. How many more wins does Auburn achieve before the NCAA tournament starts? So in theory, they could get 3 more wins in the SEC tournament if they win out.
Right. So they got 4. They could play 4 games, and so they could go 4-0. They could go 3-1 and lose in the championship. They could get beat in the first round and go 1-1 over the next 2, whatever.
So the most likely option is they'll play Kentucky on Friday,
who looked good tonight. They bounced back. They really did. They looked really good against LSU.
Yeah. It's easy to. A lot of people look good against LSU in this conference.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah, sure. So we'll see. I'm still not I'm just not picking against this team right now. I need to see several games, or I guess multiple games of what they look like tonight before I start picking against them.
Right. If you start stringing games like this together, that's one thing. And I want to see them again fully. With the full roster, with the full team. This team's different with Denver Jones at the point guard, period. So
that's right.
Let's see what they look like Saturday. Let's see if Broom looked limited to me tonight. He looked, of course, he had the shoulder thing again.
Everyone held their breath. A few minutes in. Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
And then my question is like, okay, like, is this worth it? Like, let's just take him out. Let's just take him out. But he must have been fine, or they would have taken him out.
You know, we
That was some of the loudest. I don't know if the mic picked that up, but that was some of the loudest thunder I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. It's come out of here and it's heading your way. I will say this: we talked about the possibility of Ja'Kai Howard playing more minutes tonight, and he did. And other than getting that technical foul, I think he acquitted himself pretty well.
Yeah, he played 12 minutes and only shot it 4 times. That's a little surprising.
We thought he'd shoot it like 8 or 9 in 12 minutes.
That's right. That's right. He only took 1 3. So, all right, we'll leave it there. Daryl, how can people check out everything that you've got going on?
Follow me on X, DAP6410, Instagram, Daryl Dapp, Wednesdays and Fridays with you on Locked on Auburn, Sundays at 8 p.m. with you and Kyle Rush on The Barn. Little live show we do, and then all basketball all the time, live. Let's go.
Yep. About to do lots of shows, especially if Auburn does what we think they can do over the next few weeks. So be sure to subscribe. Please like the video. And if you're tuning in on audio, please leave us a review there and subscribe. It helps the show out a ton. Go to sleep, everyone. Go to sleep. We'll all feel better in the morning. This has been Locked on Auburn.